From checking social media to staying connected with friends and family, phones are everywhere in our lives, or at least they used to be. With the new Missouri law that placed a statewide phone ban for public school students, phones are often away all day. As we've already experienced, the law limits students from using their phones during the entire school day. But what does this really mean for students, teachers, and families? For many students, the ban is personal. For them, the issue isn't just about phones, but about whether lawmakers are really listening to student voices. Senior Tenley Dollarhide expresses her frustrations regarding the phone ban.
I would say I kind of have a strong opinion on this because this might be controversial, but I think a lot of them probably don't have kids who go to public high schools or even have kids that, they might be grown up. So I think it's kind of hard for them as adults to realize how much we do use them. And to me, it's kind of a little bit harsh because I think they think, oh, well, when we were young, we didn't have them at all, which is true, and I get that, and I understand why they think we're being dramatic, but it's different now. I mean, we have Chromebooks, we have so much technology in schools that at this point, phones are a part of our learning.
Some students have decided to raise their voices. Junior Alicia Yin recently spoke up through a social media video. The video went viral with 350,000 views across TikTok and Instagram. Yin's video captured what students across the nation were feeling with phone ban policies in place in 35 states.
So I had a couple of main points about my video. First of all was the distribution of resources around Missouri, around the states that implemented the phone ban, and how because there is a total ban on personal devices, a lot of students won't have access to devices at all because not all schools issue their students with personal devices. And what this means is in rural areas, or let's say poor city schools who can't provide their students with computers, they literally will not have a personal device to do any education on. And because everyone's like, oh my God, education's moving online, now they won't have access to any of those resources at all, and we'll have to revert back to biased paper textbooks and lose this entire plethora of resources on the other side. The other point I had was on communication. You get rid of this means of communication that students usually have throughout the school day, and whether this be through smaller inconvenient ways, for example, scanning QR codes, or a power imbalance when there could be possible abuse by people in power, there are a lot of issues that were not thought through with this bill as a total ban.
Some teachers, like science teacher Sarah Johnson, had phone rules in place long before the state ban was introduced.
Parkway West is actually the first school I've worked at where they were allowed to have phones. So for me, I've always collected the kids' phones so that they couldn't have them during class. I really think it's important that during class time kids not have their phone. So I think it's really great this year because I don't have to say anything about it. It's not like a rule that I have to go into class explaining. So I really like it.
Other teachers, like Jim Herman, who teaches social studies, don't believe in a blanket phone rule and feel classroom management should be left up to individual teachers.
My opinion generally with the new phone rule is I'm usually against any one-size-fits-all policy regarding anything in life. I think there's always nuance and etc. that should be taken into consideration. So in general, it's always a good thing that students aren't distracted by their phones. However, I'm always in favor of using teacher discretion more so than blanket policies by the state or the country to enact laws such as putting phones away for the entire day, etc. I always think a teacher who runs their classroom effectively can accomplish the same thing.
Last spring, before the statewide phone policy had been passed, Parkway had already decided to implement their own phone policies. Unlike the statewide ban, Parkway had planned to allow students to use their phones during passing period and lunch. Principal John McCabe has had to navigate implementing the new phone rule.
That policy landed with kind of some restrictions during the school day, but not a full ban. And then as the Missouri legislature met last year in one of their sessions, they eventually came out with the decision, and the governor signed into law a Senate bill that included language that said cell phones are banned in schools. And so where Parkway was going to kind of more have restrictions in the classroom, this ban kind of said cell phones are not going to be accessed during the school days, during operational hours.
While many teachers and students have strong opinions about the policy, not everyone knows the details behind it. The phone ban wasn't passed on its own. It was included in a larger education reform bill. Government teacher Mel Tretier helps explain how this legislation came together and what it means for schools.
So the bigger bill, Senate Bill 68, if I remember the number correctly, actually includes dozens of things. So the cell phone policy is actually a very small part of all of that, like literally a very small part. And the bill itself covers a wide range of education topics and a couple of other things. So it's an omnibus bill in a lot of ways, kind of a big picture thing. And actually the phrasing about cell phone policy is not incredibly specific as far as how schools are going to enforce it. What exactly does the policy look like? Do we have to take the phones in the morning in like those yonder pouches, or what does it look like? And so I think some of that was purposeful to let schools have some latitude in what they can do in terms of enforcing it. Parkway was already, and other school districts are already in the process of making their own cell phone policies, as everybody, all the students know from last year's discussions. And then this, we knew was on the table, was in discussions, and then when it finally got passed and signed by the governor, we pivoted from what we were doing to doing this.
The Missouri phone ban is here, but its effects are still unfolding. From students to teachers, administrators, and policymakers, everyone is adjusting to this new reality. But what do you think? Should phone rules be set by the state or left to local schools? Phones may be silenced, but your voice isn't.